Hi guys, it's MicheleMarieDalene, and today we're going to try to explain how this program works. Yes, I finally did get it working, except for the long file name support. I can't figure out why it doesn't work. 64HDD program is a software program that is designed to allow a PC to act as a mass file storage system for a Commodore 64. It's one of many programs that are on the market for that purpose. There's actually two versions of it. The freeware version is one we're using, and there's also 64HDD Professional, which I do not have. The 64HD Professional version, which I do not have here, and we have the shareware version, which I do have. Okay. Actually it's freeware, but we have to get really into picking nits as far as freeware versus shareware. Let's put it this way. Nick Copeland created 64HDD because he wanted to use a generic PC to act as a hard drive for Commodore 64. And I've had this program before. I think I had a slightly older version of it. So 64HDD was created for the purpose of using a PC hard drive as a mass medium for a Commodore 64. And the freeware version allows you to assign devices, I think device 8 through 16, I think. I could be wrong on that. And the professional will allow you to go all the way from 0 to 30. Clearly, most people on the freeware version, or even on the professional version, probably are not going to go for device numbers below 4 because for mass media. Because 4 is usually used for printer, and 5 and for plotters usually, and then of course 6 is usually not used, 7 is not usually used, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are the standard drives for the software. Now the first thing I want to make sure you understand is that the system uses a parallel port on a PC, and depending on the age of your PC, you may find it's going to need either an X1541 cable, which is the oldest one, which basically is a pretty much standard 1-to-1 pin cable. It doesn't use any kind of diodes or transistors or anything like that. Or the XE1541 cable. Now, I happen to have the XE1541 cable, which I showed you in another video clip, which I will put right here. The cable that Nick Copeland made for me, because I thought this is really nicely made. This is the XE1541 cable that was custom made for me, and it has the standard male 6-pin plug on it, plus a little pigtail female 6-pin connector, and that's so that I could connect this plug into a 1541, and then I could simply plug this cord into a printer. Okay, and as you can see is I pointed out that the cable was custom made for me, and it is custom made so that I could plug my printer in, as well as I could plug in a disk drive. And that's the first problem with the 15. All of these new products on the market is they all depend on the fact that almost every single Commodore program is going to use device 8 for a floppy drive. Even if you had a real floppy drive and you wanted to use this device 8, and so many load programs for devices 9, 10, 11, 12, guess what? You're not going to be able to do it because of the fact that almost, except for especially programs that have chain files in, unless you want to modify every single program, which in some cases may not be so easy to modify chain loads to load for other devices. Sometimes it's easy enough to do because they're usually basic boot programs. But if they're machine language programs, like one of the programs that we're going to show through this demo, it's a good example of something that does not do well for that purpose. So let me try to show you first the screen that you see once the program is booted. Okay, so we give a minute here. First of all, I am very sorry about the screen. I know it looks kind of crappy. It's going through a VGA to composite adapter. You can see, looking on the screen here, you'll see that you have your devices assigned. For example, I have 8 assigned to the D drive, 9 is device to the demo file for 64 HDD. There's nothing assigned for 10. There's utilities that comes with 64 HDDs on device 11, and then 12 is empty, 13 is empty, 14 is empty, and 15 is the file system for the C drive. So now let's go now to trying to show you a demo, and I was actually testing some programs earlier to see if they worked. So we're going to try loading some stuff. Both it can load native programs that are not in D64s or D81 images. It can also load things in D64 and D81s. The thing that you're going to run into is that for most cases, the programs that are not in images are going to be limited to the MS-DOS file system naming convention. Even if you had LFN working, which I do not, I've tried to get it working, it still has problematic. Trying to use Windows 95 file names under MS-DOS 6.22. Unfortunately, I think Nick Kaplan really needs to kind of come up with a different way of using LFNs, because the software he's using is giving me all kinds of problems. And but one of the things I should point out right now is if you've got a fast load cartridge, please remove it from the machine before you even try to load any images, because it will lock it right up tight as a drum in trying to load. Now let's go right to the Commodore 64 and I'll show you how you access different things, okay? Okay, now we are here on my Commodore 64 screen, so let me put a picture back on home row here. So if I, right now, because I was just loading something earlier, I'm going to show you how to load and execute things. If I go load string, because I want to go back a directory, (8). Oops. It's kind of embarrassing. Okay. And I list at, it's not going to tell me much, except some of the device. But if I go ahead and I type in load string, (8) again, it's going to give me the full listing. Okay, and you can see I got a couple different programs. You see those things with the little pi symbol in the end? That's because some of these names are a little longer than the. We also have tape tool, char edit. Okay, let's try loading char edit just so you can see what it does. Now we're going to load it. It's a native program, meaning it's an MS-DOS native file. So I type load char edit, (8). Now, because this is actually stored natively on the PC, I'll show you the code here. Okay, it's a program. Let's take a look at it. See what it does. And this is a font editor. Of course, some of the stuff isn't in English, but that's okay. So it's using the cursors, up, down arrow. Okay. A lot of stuff I got off the internet. It's in German. So the point is I think this thing's designed to use their mouse. I think it's Let's see. Yeah, I think it's either designed to use the mouse or it's designed to use the joystick. Okay, so I don't think it can change position. Okay. 2, 3. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing here, so I don't want to skip. So I'm going to hit reset here. So that's now what you probably think, since I reset the computer using the soft reset, it's going to mess up my load. No, it's not. So I go back and I type in load again. Okay, we're going to load up an application of a D64 as well. But first, let's take a look at the list. Now, these, as I said, these are PCs, files, and you see that to get around some of the problems, you see it's got things like 63,999 blocks free. I can show you it's a lot more than that. Got some, got char 83, 8x8 char MX. So let's go to loading a D60. Let's take a look at the Easy Filer. Okay, which you can see it's got a funny name because it was actually longer than the characters. So load EASY FI pipe or pi 1 that, oh yes, I need, oh yes, since it's a subdirectory feature. String, you need this, okay? EASYFI pi 1 period D64. Now, some will say you don't need the D64 in the end. Doesn't hurt to add it. I tried that one earlier and I got into all kinds of headaches, so just add it anyway. Okay, now that just tells me it's in Invest Pack. Now I'm going to type in load. So I can take a look at the tree here. Okay. And I type load. INVEST. This is a really strange program. Pack. It's actually written in BASIC. It's not even a machine language program. I mean, I think it's a machine language, at least in part of the routines, but it's really pretty basic what it does. It's to help you do investment strategy, portfolios, and by the way, you can probably hear the tick, 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 tick. That is the sound of every single block being transferred. 256 bytes at a shot. Okay? So it's not like it's going to be, since we don't have the fast load cartridge installed, it's going to take longer to load it. Okay, now I just type run. Okay? And come with business machines. And Eagle software. Background color, border color. Character color. Okay, I'm going to hit done. That looks good to me. I don't think I need to change that. And then we got things like future investment, value online. I'm going to exit because I don't know any of this shit, honestly. But it's great. It shows how it works. So now let me show. Anyway, it gets a little confusing because of the way this thing works. So I want to try to load this one. Load string EASY SC pi 4 D64 closing quotes comma 8. Okay. Load. Now I can probably type in load, and I'm loading into this canvas now. Run. Now, this is got a chain loader. Let me just show you what I'm talking about when I said about problems with these things. This is a similar language chain loader for EasyScript. So I can't edit this, okay? What I can just do is run it, okay? And again, you'll hear as it goes tick, 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 tick. Kind of like an electronic ignition on a gas stove, okay? You can probably hear it through my microphone there with the tick, 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 tick. And this is the word processor that I wrote a lot of documents on in school and things like that. This just happens to be a cracked copy of it. In fact, I also have another copy of it that is the original. I bought a copy of EasyScript because I wanted the manual, because otherwise it's very difficult to use it without the book. So it takes a while. Okay, now I get to the screen you're probably familiar with about the tape and disc. This is the cool thing. I got another cracked version of this that actually can load up a tape cartridge. Because you see it says disc or tape. So I can choose different things, like printer types such as the CBM, which is the standard, the MX80, the Spin Writer, the Cume Diablo, and other. Most of my cases, if I'm using a printer, which I'm using through a Super G interface, I probably would use CBM to do printing, and then it would take care of all the necessary translations and things like that. So I just hit enter to the questions, and it gets me into my word processing document. This thing has a let's see if I can remember how to use this now. I haven't used this thing in a long time. Okay, yes, it has a directory structure as well. Okay. Now, if I'm in here, can I change this to go to another device and so I can edit another file? It's a good question. So let's try it. So string up arrow. Okay. String. Okay. Yes, I can. So if I wanted to go into the MS-DOS temp directory, which is on the bottom of the screen here, that pauses it, which is kind of cool. Okay, I can break it too. Okay, all right. So yeah, so if I wanted to go to temp, I would just type in string temp, and then to make sure I am truly in temp, and just there really isn't anything in temp. Now I can write a word processing document. Either I can save it, a document in standard PC file directly, or I can make a disk image as well. This program, I can tell you right now, it's freeware. There's a simple online registration process. Only because that's how we know so many copies are out there. It doesn't cost anything. It's just like when you register for websites, it's freeware. It gives you a 3-letter code, and then you enter that code into your copy 64 HDD. Like I said, they might run into problems with things such as software that specifically wants to use certain device names or numbers, like 8. It's the most commonly used for loading files on the Commodore 64 and the 128. And so if you only use device 9, 10, 11, 12, things get a little more problematic. This would be a great tool for a bulletin board, incidentally. If you've got a large collection of software for the Commodore 64, this will allow you to have all that software available for download. You'll have to figure out how to manage it. I'm not even going to tell you how to do that. But it does work. And now, by the way, how does this compare with something like the SD2 IEC? Well, the SD2 IEC is probably pretty much the same thing. It uses except the difference is it's using a microcontroller two do the same job. So in other words, you've got a little compact flash, a secure digital flash card you stick inside, and it has the same basic functions of loading files and images and some raw files. The only problem is it costs more money. So, I mean, if you're really on a tight pinch, the 64 HDD is good, especially if you got a lot of computers laying around your shop and you don't mind using them for something. Plus, if you're using a PC anyway for something like Store Commander or Trans64 to transfer files, you're going to want to use, you can use the same computer for both, unless you got, tons and tons and tons and tons of files to move. Well, let me just remind you, this does not work under Windows. Do not try it under Windows. It will not work properly. It is designed for DOS, in true DOS mode, not emulation DOS mode. Okay, or you want to call it the equivalent of Microsoft's classic mode. If you want to use it in real mode, that's fine. Unlike Apple, most everything on PCs can load boot DOS directly, whereas on Apple's we have our own headaches, thanks to Apple. But that's another topic. I'm not going to get into that right now. Do I think the software is worth it? Yes. Do I think the software is going to be something that I'm going to use every day? Well, I took this computer out of the closet to show you this demo, and I want to set it up somewhere. Right now it's in my kitchen. So because it's in my kitchen, I can't really cook. So that's not really a good solution. I just happened to be that I set up here because this is the only free table I had. But obviously, if I was to use this thing for everyday use, I'd have to set up a different workspace for it. Because... And by the way, does it work okay with a real 1541 plugged into the system? Yes, it does. In fact, the only thing you want to make sure is they can't be on the same device address. Okay, so if you got your real 1541 is 8, and you got 64 HDD set is 8, either one has to be on or one has to be off. You can't have them both on because they'll fight. So you can have them plugged in, but just have them turned off, and that's fine. The only thing is sometimes is that 64 HDD, because of the way the PC brings the bus low, may cause the other systems to hang when the computer, when it's not booted up and running. So if that concerns you, you can unplug the cord from the back of the computer and be safe, and you won't have a problem. But if it doesn't bother you, or if you're going to be leaving it on most of the time anyway, that's fine. Now, like I said, this is a lot less expensive than, say, the SD2IEC. It's great for those who want to repurpose your older machines. And as I said, I don't have any games, and I don't even have data. I don't have a joystick so we can play them. So, and I don't have sound hooked up either, because my sound's broken. Besides that, the way this sound's being recorded, it wouldn't do any good to try to show you a video with sound, because you wouldn't see it anyway. Okay, so for the time being, I wanted to just thank you for watching this demo. And if you want to find out more about the software, if you're really curious, go to www.64hdd.com, and you want to talk to Nick Kaplan. He is the creator of the software, and he's also who created my XE1541 cable as well. So you want to definitely talk to Nick Kaplan. He's from Australia. He's a decent guy, at least as far as I know, is professional. Yes, he's professional, definitely. He's definitely, he's the creator of the software. If you have problems with it, you can ask him to help you to debug. Plus, they also have a forum specifically for 64 HDD issues as well. So again, www.64hdd.com. You can order your cables. You can even order the professional 64 HDD if that's what floats your boat. He does have specific fast loaders software available for the professional version and for the shareware version in the form of cartridges. They kind of look like this, but they're when his supports his software. Unfortunately, Epic Cecil does not work with 64 HDD images. It will, to an extent. It works somewhat with non-images. Okay, I noticed that. If you try it with image and locks up, and it's because you forgot to take the cartridge out of the drive. Take it out and it should work fine. And that's what happened to me. So for now, that's it. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.